Life was, for me, very, very enjoyable. I was playing sport to a pretty high level. I was successful at my work. I had a great relationship with my wife and my daughter, and the future was looking fantastic. For me, it was because of the work that I did. I'd been a police officer for many years, involved in some quite horrific events. And like all emergency services personnel, those events do ultimately take their toll on you. I think for those in the armed forces, in the emergency services, police, ambulance officers and like industries, it's critical to recognise that traumatic events that you are exposed to, there's a strong likelihood that they are damaging your body and your mind. So it's a matter of being prepared for them and the symptoms that you may exhibit and taking steps early. Post-traumatic stress to me was like a never-ending replaying of events in a DVD that was going over and over in my mind. The traumatic events and the things that I had seen, the things I had been involved in, were just continually in my vision, whether it was during the daytime, the night time, trying to sleep. These events were just going over and over and over again. And eventually it got to the stage where I just couldn't sleep because I just couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't keep seeing these things. And that lack of sleep led to physical health problems because of the sleep deprivation. And those physical health issues in turn worsened the mental illness issues. So it's like you're reliving those moments 24 hours a day, and there's just no escape from them. And you become so anxious about what's going on, what has gone on, and you become so anxious about your future. For me, the idea of being a man was the work I was doing, the sport I was playing, the roles I had in the community as far as my community involvement. I felt that I was as a worthwhile human being, and I wanted to be that strong, powerful person that I believed I always had been. I believed that I wanted to be able to contribute like I always had done. So suddenly there was this overwhelming sense of complete worthlessness, that I could not do anything that I could feel worthwhile about. I felt as though I was a complete and total failure. I felt I had nothing left to contribute. And again, there was just this sense of hopelessness with my situation that I believed I could never ever recover from. I didn't use alcohol, I abused alcohol, which was one of the biggest mistakes I made. I was drinking significant amounts of whiskey every night to stop the horrors coming back into my mind, to try and get some sleep. And it was the worst thing that I could have ever possibly done. So all I can say is, if alcohol is a problem, that has to be dealt with separately. But if you are tempted to use it as a form of self-medication, don't do it. The lowest point in my life was the day that I decided to kill myself. At that stage, I felt that I was unable to escape the trauma that I was experiencing. I could see no way out apart from taking my own life. Somewhere in deep inside me, I just had this hope that I didn't have to do it. And it was when I had given my gun back to a workmate, and that was essentially the day that I knew that I had to get professional help, because if I didn't, then the consequences were going to be catastrophic. So by doing that, I was then taken before a crisis counsellor, and the following day taken to a psychiatrist for crisis care and assessment. And that was the first step that I took that led me to where I am today. Medication was something that I hadn't really comprehended because I didn't know anything about it. The things that helped me as far as the medication and other treatments was concerned was that by me being prepared to go to a psychiatrist and be there and get treatment, my wife was aware that I was trying to get better. It gave her a sense of hope, which was so critical for her. Once the medication started to take effect, she could see that I was starting to stabilise. And she also then had hope for the future, which was critical for her. The first things for me to try and recover was accept that I had illnesses, and acceptance that I needed to do things to get better. Walking into the door of the psychiatrist was a challenging experience because again it reinforced the fact that I had problems. But accepting it and then taking proactive steps myself to plan for the future, to set goals for myself. And they were only little goals. They were probably might be what I could do for the next hour, the next half day or the next day. They were just little goals that I could set for myself, and they gave me a sense of achievement. I described it as being like Humpty Dumpty, and you fall off the wall and you shatter into 1,000 pieces. Slowly but surely, setting those goals and achieving them allows you to put those pieces of yourself back together again. And it starts to make you feel stronger. And as a man, to have some sense of getting your strength back, and for me, your pride was critically important. Exercise for me was always very important. I loved playing the sport. I loved training hard. I loved being pushed. And the advice from the psychiatrist was that if you're able to get back into starting a good exercise program and build it up to where you once were, then the benefits will be exceptional. And they were. And I still train regularly. I try and maintain the best physical health I can. I drink in moderation. I haven't smoked cigarettes for 18 years. And I try and diet well. So for me, good physical health also can assist very good mental health. I think that for you as a person, you need to find things you're passionate about, things that matter to you. And because of what I've suffered over the years and because of what my family has suffered, I like to get involved in community projects where I can give something back to maybe try and help people. And it's again that sense of worth I discussed before, that you need to find things that make you feel good about what you're doing. And certainly community involvement, volunteering for good causes is a wonderful way to do that. I would have to say that my greatest sense of achievement was being able to sail across massive oceans with my wife and my children and another young crew member on board was something that I never ever thought I could ever achieve. It had been a lifelong goal ever since I was a child. And for me, that was the absolute ultimate that I could do to give me back everything that I had once lost. And it made me feel as though that I could do no more, I could ask no more of myself. And it takes a lot of hard, determined time and effort from you, the support of your family, but if everyone strives for those goals, you will get better and you will overcome it.